Also, just letting everyone know who may be interested or not, I am live now on YouTube Shorts. So if this is a format that you prefer, a vertical format, then by all means check that out. You can find the links there on the channel. But if you prefer the standardized format here, the OG regular format, then you know you got that too. We got you covered over here on the channel. So, unlike most of the times I go live during the week, it being a Saturday afternoon, kind of just wanted to be chill today. So, there's no particular order of things that I'm going to cover. I mean, yeah, there are things I do want to talk about, but I also want to hear from all of you out there who are watching now. If there's anything in particular you would love to talk about, feel free to chime in the comments and let's talk about it. As long as it's movie, pop culture related, other topics we'll see, but that's not what the show is about. If we're going to go into other things outside of that realm of fandom, right? So, RIP, how's the box office on Phantom Menace? Let's check it out. Let's check it out because I did have a chance to see it finally on Wednesday. And it was like a Wednesday early afternoon. So obviously not a lot of people there. But people were still seeing it. I think one of my favorite moments from that day was seeing a father and his son watching it. And you could obviously, you could tell based off of the son's reaction, it was his first time watching it. So I really love seeing that. But let's check it out, Phantom Menace. Let's check out how is it doing in the box office right now. It has unfortunately major competition this week with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is doing extremely well. I think for Friday it pulled in around 20 million or more, which is I guess it shouldn't be surprising because I had a feeling that this movie was going to do really well. I just wasn't expecting it to do that well. I think they're now speculating that it's probably going to do like around 50 million for the weekend. I think I kind of guessed it would do like 35 to 40. So my whole guess was completely off. So let's see here. So May 3rd, 2024. Daily box office. All right, let's see here. Going into. All right. So since May 3rd. All right, I'm going to have to employ the help of some spreadsheets. Because my math, I don't do math. Math ain't my strong suit, if you know what I mean. All right. Let's see here. Why? Why is it when I typed in, or I was attempting to type in Google Sheets, I typed in Google Shits? Oh, let me go to the Google Shits real quick. All right. Let's see here. Copy. And then I paste. Oh no. Text the columns. Oh, this is not working. What's happening? Okay, you know what? This is terrible. While I'm adding all this stuff up here, are they releasing all the Star Wars movies again? I think. Now, I know The Phantom Menace was a special moment because this year it is celebrating an anniversary. I think it's the 20th anniversary or 25th anniversary. So, I think for this year alone, I heard rumors or I saw a news report that they were supposed to release all of the how many do we have now? 9 movies. I heard that they were releasing all 9 movies in theaters at one point or another this year. So I don't know if it's to celebrate anything in particular or just to have a day where you could catch all the movies. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan is there, but I did hear that they were thinking of doing that this year. So I would probably just be mindful if that's something you want to check out. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who want to check that out. So, um, all right, doing some manual math here, guys. I hope this is exhilarating content for all of you. I should you know what? That's going to be my mathing music. We're doing some math. I'm doing some calculations. Want to check out Phantom Menace box office ever since it was re-released in theaters this past week. Boom, boom, bam. All the way, Sam. Who's Sam? I don't know. You're Sam. No, I'm not. Go fuck yourself. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So from May 3rd through May 10th, so far, the domestic box office for The Phantom Menace, the re-release of The Phantom Menace, is around $11 million. So I know opening weekend was the May 4th weekend, and it made around $8 million-ish dollars. So far, I mean, for the week, and I wasn't expecting a lot to see for this week, it's done pretty well. It's doing some decent box office. And who knows, maybe there will be some spillage from those who plan to watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this weekend. Maybe afterwards they may be intrigued to want to watch Star Wars in the theater again, or maybe beforehand. I notice nowadays what a lot of families do is if they're going to go to the movies, it's like a big commitment, right? Especially if they're going to do it on a weekend. What I've seen and what I've heard from other people is that they will go and wait to see if there are multiple movies they can see together. Maybe somehow they get a discount rate or a group rate, or they have a kind of like a Groupon or a discount coupon, and they'll see more than one movie because they might as well just make like a day out of it or a weekend out of it, you know? So who knows? Maybe there'll be some spillage from that. What's your favorite franchise? As far as movies are concerned, I am definitely a Star Wars guy. I have been for a very, very long time. Other than that, I'm a major fan of the Alien franchise. I guess that's also why the whole Sigourney Weaver Star Wars news story really excited me. Big Indiana Jones fan. Unfortunately, the recent stuff hasn't been that great. Ghostbusters has always been a favorite of mine. Back to the Future is like a perfect trilogy, in my opinion. I don't think you could get any wrong with Back to the Future. Lord of the Rings, the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. I'm naming several favorites because it's really hard to pinpoint and pin down one of them. But if I guess to kind of give you a little insight and so that you know me a little bit more, my 4 favorite films on Letterboxd is The Crow, the original 1994 The Crow, Lost in Translation, Clue, the movie Clue, the comedy movie Clue, and my 4th was Empire Strikes Back. So that's just a little bit more of you to kind of get to know me a little bit more. What's up, Jenny Sharrock? Just got in and heard Aliens and Indiana Jones. Gen X, thank you for mentioning all my favorites. Yeah, I mean, those are a lot of the movies and the franchises I grew up watching. So I guess I am Gen X, huh? Born in 78, raised through, grew up through the 80s. So I guess that's true, huh? Jenny, what are some of your favorites outside of what I just mentioned? And what's oh no, The Crow, but the original? Hell yeah, absolutely. This week, now a lot of people, if you look on social media right now, a lot of people are saying that today is the anniversary of the original release of The Crow in theaters. But today is actually the anniversary of the premiere in California. The nationwide United States release date was May 13th. So that's when the real anniversary kicks in. But yeah, what is it, 30 years since the original came out? Can you say my name on my... What's up, Bailey? What's going on, Bailey? Hope you're having a great Saturday, wherever you're hailing from. Let's see. Phantom Menace 1 isn't the greatest Star Wars movie, but good to see. Yeah, like I said, like when I... What is this? When I went to see it, I knew what I was getting into. I knew what I was expecting from it. So even though I don't enjoy that movie like other people do who grew up watching it, I still can at least find entertainment in watching it because I know kind of what to laugh at. I know every time I see Natalie Portman mouthing off the same dialogue that Qui-Gon Jinn is saying, that kills me every freaking time. It's just the funniest thing ever. So I didn't even watch half of the new Indiana Jones movie. Yeah, it was kind of hard to get through, to be honest with you. After my mom gets out of work, we're going to... Oh, well, Bailey, I hope you have a great birthday party. Is it your birthday or is it a friend of yours or someone else? Jenny saying, I know it is weird, but Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street. That's not weird at all. The original, very first Nightmare on Elm Street movie is a very scary movie. And what they were able to accomplish in that movie, as far as like visual and practical effects, is very well done for the time. And I'll be honest. I'll say that maybe not so much part 2, but part 3 was definitely a favorite of mine. That's the Dream Warriors one, I think. Because I always found it like entertaining when you had like a group of people who really tried their hardest to fight against Freddy Krueger and try to beat him at his own game. So there's something about that movie that I really like the most. Like I really enjoy. It's like there's 2 girls, 2 sisters. That other ones, actually, other 3 other ones, like me, my sister, and my. Wow. It's a girls' party. It's a full-on girls' party. Well, I hope you have a great time. I think Jenny's saying, I think sorry for new generations that have no fun. No real movie makes me scared. Yeah, it's harder nowadays for movies like the horror movies to get me. I feel like, well, we went through a lot of phases in horror movies. Jenny, I'm assuming you're a big horror movie fan, right? So I used to be when I was younger, and then I got out of it during the Saw era. That's when everything became kind of, you know, the gore porn. Everything had to be very gruesome and gory. And I know we got that in the 80s and the 90s. And then we got the whole Scream era. I Know What You Did Last Summer, the slasher, kind of the return of like the slasher genre. But then we got into like the gore porn, you know, where everything had to be so bloody and in your face and disgusting. And I kind of left the whole genre after that. Then it made another switch with like the jump scares, right? I believe when movies like Insidious and The Conjuring, or maybe even Paranormal Activity, it was all about not only just the hidden footage stuff, but it was all about like that quick jump scare, you know, like it got into a lot of those moments. So what I'm liking nowadays is that you have companies like A24 that are really putting a lot of focus on story in their horror movies, you know. So like movies like Midsommar, The Witch, I really love those movies. What was it? The most recent movie, Late Night with the Devil, with David Dastmalchian. I enjoyed that movie because they tried something different and they tried something unique. Kind of found footage in a way, but make it so that as if you're watching an actual program back in the 70s. And I love how they did explain everything. Like, well, how are you supposed to know what happens back scene or behind the scenes? Well, they had a documentary crew on set. So I loved how they kind of explained all those things and how you were able to see everything. And I loved how it was also done documentary style. That's basically how the movie started. So There are some movies that I appreciate now because of the storytelling element. That's what attracts me and intrigues me. Um, but for the other horror movies, like for example, Megan and what's that, Abigail that just came out? Like, I don't have interest in watching them, to be honest with you. If it's on streaming, maybe I'll catch it one day, but I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these new horror movies don't do a lot for me these days. So, what are some other, if Jenny, if you're still there, what are some of the other horror movies that you love? And Bailey, again, I hope you have a fantastic birthday evening with everybody. And RIP, since if you're still there, hopefully you're still there. Since you've asked me what are some of my favorite movie franchises, what are some of yours? Let me know in the chat. And while you do all that, something that I don't always do here, and I don't always get like packages or deliveries and all that, but I did get a package, not my package, but a separate package that I am very excited to open up because I actually know what it is, and it's something that I've been waiting for a week to get delivered. So I'm going to unbox it right now and just share it with you. It's delivered from Japan too, so I'm very, very excited for this. So I'll unbox it here and we'll check it out together. Jenny chiming in. The First Exorcist. Oh, I have a story about that with me. I agree. Damien. Okay, so The Omen. Are you planning to watch any of the new Omen movies that came out? I actually heard that from those who I know who saw it. They said that the new Omen is actually pretty decent. So, I don't know. But the Exorcist. So, my story when it comes to the Exorcist movie is I remember, I think I was 12 years old. And one weekend, I decided to rent the movie, The Exorcist, for the first time. Because a lot of my friends have seen it, and they're all like, why haven't you seen it yet? You should watch it. I'm like, all right. So I rented it. So imagine a 12-year-old boy like me sitting in my room by myself, popping in this VHS tape and watching this thing at night too. And let's just say that for 2 weeks I could not sleep. And I think my mom hated me. My mom hated the fact that I rented that movie because that movie scared the living hell out of me. It was just horrible. And I remember, you know, like what you do sometimes when you watch horror movies, you feel, you get that moment where you don't want to watch anymore, but you can't stop because you're just like, but I need to see what happens. I need to see what happens. That's what I kept doing. And I think I got into my own head way too much. And I know I had nightmares. I dreamt a lot about everything that's happening. But I also recognized that it was a very well done movie too. So I didn't watch it again for many, many years afterwards. And then they did this special re-release in theaters sometime in like the late 90s, I want to say, to celebrate its anniversary for something. And it was supposed to be like all digitally remastered. It was supposed to include extra scenes in there. I don't know if you remember when that came out. And I remember I watched it with a group of friends. And for some reason, we were no longer scared. We were just laughing at it. Because the one thing that cracked me up now when I see it is the statue. Because I didn't realize the statue has a giant freaking dong on it. And I just keep laughing. And I remember watching it in the theater, and me and my friends like, oh my God, look, it's a penis monster. And we just can't stop laughing. So now in my head, every time I think of The Exorcist, I don't think of how scary it is. I now just think of the penis monster. And I guess that helps me kind of get past how scary it was when I originally saw it, you know? So, but when I did watch it again, I did also recognize how well done that movie is for the time. The acting is great. The ending is nuts, right? And I never saw. I heard a lot of people said like the third Exorcist movie really picks up directly from the first one, and a lot of people have said that the third one is actually really good. I've never seen it, so that's kind of on my list of movies to check out. So we'll see. Jenny, I'm literally laughing loudly because my mom wanted to beat me for weeks. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, my mom was so fed up with me. Yeah. Like the first couple of nights, she kind of understood. She's like, "Oh, you did it to yourself, you idiot." And then literally, like after like a couple of days of that, she was just like, "Enough, enough. You're an idiot." You know. The whole "you're not watching a scary movie ever again. You're not allowed to rent horror movies." That's the whole thing I got. So, yeah. All right, let's see what's in the box. What's in the box? Well, we have paper, so that's one thing. And more paper. And more paper. And look, and more paper. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Oh, what is this? What is this? It's kind of beefy. Kind of bulky. I am so excited for this. So excited for this. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, buddy. Look at this. It is the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray release of Godzilla -1 directly from Japan. Right now, as far as physical media is concerned, this is the only way to get this on Blu-ray 4K until it comes out eventually here in the United States. But I just had to get this. I had to import this because this movie is fantastic. It's so good. And it comes with a lot of extra features and all that. So if you are brand new to the channel, I do this little series called Beyond the Disc, where I kind of explore packaging of physical releases, the way they set up the menus in DVDs. Because one of the things I love and I always remember about the thrill of watching DVDs is the menus and how creative they can get with the menus, the special features and all that. So I will be definitely doing an episode of this on the channel. So if you want to check that out, make sure you're subscribed and all. So I am so stoked about this. So excited. And in that video, I will do like a full unboxing and all. But oh, look how gorgeous this thing is. This thing just looks so beautiful. It's so nice. It's so nice. I'm so happy. So yeah. So I am super excited. What's up? I hope I'm not gonna butcher your name. Nicolitha? Love your NBA hat. Thank you. Huge Knicks fan. Bad loss yesterday, but it was close. But you know, we still have time. Very excited for their run. Jenny, our whole generation is you don't let us, we still gonna do it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We took risk when we were growing up in the 80s, you know, even though how scared we were and all that. I mean, I'll tell you this. I grew up, you know, I'm still here in New York. And I don't know if you know much about New York and all that, but New York in the 80s was rough. You know, there was a lot of crime, a lot of drugs on the street. Times Square was a place you normally wouldn't go alone during that time. What is this? 42nd Street. That's now, if you go there now, it's like owned basically by Disney and is very family friendly. I remember seeing prostitutes down that street. You know, I see drug dealers and all that. And when I was 8 years old, I used to take the subway all by myself because I had no choice. That's the only way I could get to school. Not only did I take the subway, but after the subway, I had to take a public bus to the school, and then the same thing all over again. You know, coming back home. So I learned to toughen up a lot as a kid, and of course, I didn't want to do that growing up, but I had no choice. You know, and that's one of the things. Like, you know, we had to do it back then. Bailey, I follow you everywhere because I like your videos. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Bailey. That's really nice of you to say. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. Kiss, I'm looking for my nine kids baby daddies. Okay, well, good luck with your search. I don't think I'll be the one for you, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I love it. I love all the, you know, the one thing that I love about going live is that you never know what kind of comments you're gonna get, and I love it. Bailey, I describe to your videos all the time because I love. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind and sweet of you to say. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. What's everyone's plans for the weekend? I mean, I already know Bailey has a major birthday to go to, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I think for my weekend, let's see, after I do this, and I know there's topics I'm supposed to be getting to, so I do apologize for those who are waiting for it, but I will get to them in a minute. But I also love chatting with you guys, so I think after this, oh, you know what? I just reminded myself I have to do a lot of chores. I'm very, very far behind. So I'm probably going to do some laundry. And oh, and tomorrow's Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to any mothers that may be watching right now. Happy Mother's Day to all of your the moms of everyone watching. For tomorrow, I'll actually be cooking my mom dinner and baking her a cake. So you want me to get more followers? Thank you so much, Bailey. Again, celebrity, the summer is almost coming up, so we're going to the beach. Beach, always fun to go to the beach. Jenny, watch movies? Hell yeah. Weekends with summer, I'm going to. Yeah, going to the beach is fun. Bailey, where exactly are you from? Like where are you from? Jenny just finished laundry, cut grass, watch tomorrow. I don't. Jenny, you had a busy day. You had a totally busy day, so you deserve a day to yourself for tomorrow. Watch some great movies. Watch some old movies. Enjoy. Relax. Bailey, I'm a mother. I'm a mom because I'm a girl. You're amazing, Bailey. Thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day for you. Hope you have a great day for tomorrow. I'm getting a lot of love here, guys. It's so fun. Thank you so much. I really, really totally appreciate it. You want me to recommend some movies? I can do that. What genre are you looking for? Or are you in the mood for? Bailey's from India. Nice. Buy your mom at least one flower. My so honestly, my mom does not like flowers at all. Every time I try to buy her flowers, she appreciates them, but she always says, "Don't waste your money." So that's why instead of flowers, I'm just providing food, and I'm just going to be cooking for her tomorrow. So, for someone who always cooks for me, I decided to return the favor. So Jenny's in the mood for some action. All right, action movies. Something that you could watch. I'm assuming from home. Um, have you seen? Let's see. Are you looking to revisit something or see something for the first time? So I'm trying to think now. You do know what money flower is? Never mind. I don't think I know what that. Oh, you're not talking about like the money trees, right? Is it? Or maybe I'm thinking of something else. But okay, sorry, action movies. Well, I mean, given that it is the 30th anniversary, and I know they have a newly released 4K digital release of The Crow, um, you could watch The Crow for sure. Like that would, I don't know when the last time was when you saw it, but that would be like something fun to watch to kind of celebrate the anniversary there. Some of my favorite action movies are True Lies. Um, let's see. Uh, you can never go wrong with if we're talking about 80s. You can't go wrong with any of like the classic Schwarzenegger movies like Commando, Predator, Conan. I have a guilty spot for Conan. True Lies. No True Lies tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. As far as new ones are concerned, well, I don't know if you feel like going to the theater if it's out. I don't know, Jenny, where you are, but I've been recommending The Fall Guy to a lot of people because The Fall Guy is a fun movie. It really is a fun movie. It's a blast. Gosling is really good in it. His chemistry with Emily Blunt is fantastic. And the stunts in it is outrageous. Really, really fun time in the theater. Bailey's asking what my favorite country is. Well, outside of the U.S., my favorite country is Japan. I love Japan. I've been there more than 10 times, and I'm excited because I'm gonna be finally going back there next year because I was able to get tickets for Star Wars Celebration. That's gonna be in Japan next year. Jenny's gonna do Predator and Aliens. Oh, hey, nothing wrong with that. That sounds like a fun time to me. Predator. The first one is a blast. The second one is okay. It's not bad. Um, it's just funny to see Danny Glover trying his best to keep up with the Predator and all that. I do love the ending where he's on the ship. Aliens. I mean, I love. Oh, I saw Alien again in the theater recently because that's celebrating a major anniversary too, and it's still fantastic. Especially since I've never seen it on the big screen before. Alien is just so good. And I think a lot of people don't realize that Alien was really, in essence, a horror movie. You know, it was like a really well done science fiction horror movie. And it's Cameron that took it to the next level with Aliens, turning it into like a major action packed blockbuster film. Both are great in its own right, but yeah, those are the two Alien movies I love the most. Ghostbusters. Are you planning to watch the new one, Frozen Empire? Because that's new. You could get that digitally now, I think. If that's something you're going to check out, I'm very curious as to what you're going to feel about it when you watch it. Because I definitely have my opinions on it. Jenny's gonna do all of them. Do it. Have fun. Like I said, you had a busy day today, so you deserve it. Make it a movie day. A movie Sunday. I love the sound of that. That's awesome. Cool. You know what? Let us. What's that? I'll let you know. Yeah, let me know. Would love to hear how your day turned out and which movies you did end up watching. And how you and if it was something that you saw that's new, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Snack heaven. What are your go-to snacks when you watch movies? I love when I'm home, I usually enjoy peanut M&Ms and I do the occasional popcorn at home, but I love movie theater popcorn. So whenever I go to the movies, I always get myself some popcorn. Bailey's watching Birthday Party right now. All right. Well, Bailey, like I said, enjoy the birthday party. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time. And again, thank you so much for the kind words. I really, really, really appreciate it. Jenny, popcorn is a must. Yeah, popcorn is always like a good go-to, for sure. I remember there was a time when I went to the theater that I stopped having popcorn because I switched over to nachos. This was like late 90s, 2000s. I was so big into the whole nachos thing. Like I had to have my nachos. But then I stopped when they started giving you the what is it? The container cheese, the cheese that comes in a container, right? And all they have to do is like heat it in the microwave, and then that's it. Like I was like, oh come on, that's kind of weak for me. Like I love when they have the cheese poured over the nachos. Like back in the day, I remember they used to do that, and they sprinkled jalapenos around it. That is like, that's my memories of nachos from back in the day. You know. But then when they started switching over, oh, and like sometimes they will give you the chips in a bag, so you have to like rip open the bag and pour it in your little container. I'm like, oh, come on, like that's when I knew it was getting a little bit too weak for me. I was just like, I can't support this anymore. Nachos were spicy, but now are kind of weak. Yeah, because it's all like pre-processed now. I mean, not saying it wasn't before, but I feel like it's not fresh. It's like store bought. I might as well just go to the store, buy a bag of Doritos, maybe go to 7-Eleven, buy like a little can of cheese or whatever, heat it up in the microwave, and there I go. I got the same thing. What's up, Chris? 7-Eleven, all you can eat cheese and chili. If you plan on staying there all day, yeah, you could definitely do that. Just keep hitting that button as it all pours out. Jenny says, I'll do that anyway. All right. Keep the conversations going, y'all. I love it. But for those who have tuned in to talk about topics, I feel bad because I haven't had a chance to. But let's talk about some topics, shall we? So, like I said, from the top of the stream, from the thumbnail, from the title, the big piece of news that was really exciting was hearing that that Sigourney Weaver is in talks to join the Mandalorian Grogu. Now, this is this movie that they're working on right now is so interesting. So interesting because we already know that Disney and Lucasfilm have been in the works to pretty much try to figure out what they're going to do and what's going to work for them movie-wise with their franchise. Now, the Disney Plus, we've already gotten so many series. The Mandalorian, we got Andor, we got Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, all those things, right? And they've been really focusing a lot on TV. But they know that they could do a lot of business when it comes to their movies. And I feel like there has been a lack of movies. And I even said it too. When I went back to the theater and rewatched The Phantom Menace for the 25th anniversary, I believe it's 25 years or 20 years, there is something about seeing Star Wars on the big screen. Because I feel like it was always meant to be seen that way. So this is the first time that they have any movies in full production since, I believe, 2019 or something like that. And the first time we got a major celebrity cast announced for a Star Wars film. So I'm here on The Hollywood Reporter, checking out this article here. Star Wars, Sigourney Weaver in talks to join the Mandalorian and Grogu. Like I said, this piece of news dropped last night. So when I saw this notification pop up, I was like super excited. So sci-fi legend Sigourney Weaver has gone up against face-hugging aliens and squared off against colonizers on lush green planets, but she has never faced stormtroopers and galactic bounty hunters until now. I agree, Jenny. It is very different to see it in the theater, for sure. Weaver's in talks to join the cast of The Mandalorian and Grogu, the first Star Wars movie to go into production since 2019 Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. The Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau is directing the feature, which is expected to film later this year. Favreau, Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy, and Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni will produce the feature. And then the article continues to talk about how The Mandalorian first started. Pedro Pascal is expected to return as Djarin, although it's unclear in what capacity, as the actor has a full schedule. For one, he will begin shooting The Fantastic Four for sister Disney division Marvel Studios beginning at the end of July. Weaver, a three-time Academy Award nominee, is perhaps best known as longtime face of the Alien franchise, starring with 1979's Ridley Scott sci-fi horror classic, then establishing her butt-kicking bona fides with James Cameron's 86 sequel, Aliens. I will also say another great space-related movie that she's in is Galaxy Quest. It's just kind of like a parody of the whole Star Trek universe. I loved that movie so much, and she is so good in it. I love how they play a lot on the, kind of like the tropes from the TV show and the series. Really, really good. So if you haven't seen that, you have to check it out. And of course, now she's also known for the Avatar movies and all that. So definitely, this is something that is worth paying attention to. As to what her character could be or what capacity she could be in this movie, I don't know. But anytime that you have a major star, a really good one too, like a good actress, attached to any property, that definitely heightens the level for me. Now, my only concern is the movie itself and the writing. Because it is one thing to get excited every time they cast someone new and fresh who hasn't been in the franchise before, especially someone with such a pedigree like Sigourney Weaver. But remember, Laura Dern was cast in the new sequels, right? She showed up, I believe, in either Rise of Skywalker or it was The Last Jedi. I forget which movie it is. They all tend to blend sometimes to me. And I was excited to see Laura Dern show up in this movie, in the Star Wars universe. But when the movie itself is not great, that excitement kind of fizzles away. And the character that she played was very intriguing, being kind of like this older rebel senator hierarchy person, someone who has like a lot of prestige on her. And what the character did in the movie, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet, sacrificing herself to save the betterment of everybody else. I mean, her character arc in just the movie alone was great. Would have loved to learn more about her and more about the character and seen her more, but from what she accomplished, I thought it was good. So who knows what's going to happen here with Sigourney Weaver. But I think it's always a lot of fun every time you have like a major star show up in a big franchise like this. And let's see what happens. This is the first casting news we heard from this movie. And I'm sure there's going to be more about it, so we'll see what happens. Chris, maybe some alien Easter eggs? Maybe. I hope not too much, though, because that's when it gets kind of cheesy. Jenny needs some food. It's 7:51 p.m. Oh, Europe dinner time. Okay. Do scary movies. Oh, Blair Witch. Oh, that's a great one to go back to, especially if you haven't seen it in a while. Well, Jenny, enjoy your dinner. And if you happen to be back here, then it'll be great to see you. If not, I'll catch you the next time. But nice to see you're hailing from Europe there. I miss Europe. I enjoyed my visits there. But I'd love to hear how your weekend pans out whenever you have get a chance to share with us. So yeah, so as far as like Easter eggs are concerned, I mean, Disney does technically own Fox now, right? And Alien is part of the Fox universe there. So I guess it would be easy for them to kind of shoehorn some Easter eggs in there, maybe some dialogue. But I hope not, because that kind of would make it kind of cheesy, and I wouldn't want that to happen. And it's the reason why I say that too is because very recently, when I had a chance to rewatch the newer Planet of the Apes movies, The very first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, they did that so much in that movie that watching it now made it feel very cheesy. Like there are so many of these little Easter eggs, like the newspaper headline saying "Lost in Space." Talk about like astronauts being lost in space. So it's like, oh, okay, that's like a throwback to the original series. When the guy mouthed off the lines, "Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape." I was like, all right, come on. Like, I get it. You want to kind of pay homage to the original stuff, but you don't have to do it so much here. And it just kind of took things away from me. If you're a big fanboy, I'm sure you'd love to see that stuff, but I guess looking at it as a movie making kind of way, cinema way, I just wouldn't want to see that. No, I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Come again. So yeah. So I mean, I'm very curious to hear thoughts on everyone as to if they're excited for this piece of news about Sigourney Weaver joining Star Wars, if they are not excited, or if they're kind of meh, lukewarm on the whole thing. Because again, we don't know who she's playing. We don't know at what capacity she's going to be in the movie, but it's still fun regardless, right? So it's just exciting to hear that at least we're getting some movement when it comes to this movie. It's also very interesting too because there's been a lot of moving around as far as their movie projects are concerned. I know we're supposed to be getting a new Daisy Ridley Rey movie that at one time sounded like it was going to be the first one. And then now when they announced Mandalorian and Grogu, that kind of leapfrogged over that one. And now Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be the first one, which makes more sense because that's going to bring more people interested in watching that movie first, because they're such huge fans for the TV show. There's a lot of discourse still with the whole Rey character and Daisy Ridley, so maybe they kind of want to see what the reception is with the Mandalorian Grogu movie first before we get the Daisy Ridley movie. And then there talks about the Patty Jenkins Rebel Squadron movie, which I'm excited for, and I hope we do get that, because Top Gun in space, yes please, sign me up. Chris, is it too early? Maybe if we know more. Yeah, it's too early. Definitely is too early. But it is, I guess, if anything, one, it makes a great headline, right? And it gets a lot of people talking about this, like myself. And it leads to, of course, there's going to be tons of speculation, I'm sure. And it's going to lead to a lot to that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be fan casting as to which character in the lore she could be playing. Me, I'm not going to do that for this one. I want to take a step back, and I'm going to wait for the news to drop when it drops, whenever it does. But I am excited that at least this project has a big star attached to it. Now it has two. And the whole Pedro Pascal thing, I honestly, since it's a movie, we are definitely going to see his face in this one, because it's a movie. So unlike on the show, where it's just basically his voice now, and he's even said so, that he just at this point is just recording dialogue, we are definitely going to show him pop up and show his face in the movie, because it's a movie. He has to. What's up, Sigma? Thank you for tuning in. New character unlocked.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's exciting. But that's not the only fun casting news that we got this past week. Now, if you're familiar with me and you've watched me for some time, you know that I am a big Fantastic Four fan. And I have just been chomping at the bit every time a new piece of news drops for the new Fantastic Four movie that comes out. I was excited when they announced the whole cast with Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Backrack. I was so happy with that cast. I was super excited. Then they announced Paul Walter Hauser is going to be in the movie, right? Paul Walter Hauser is going to be in everything, apparently, because I feel like every week this guy hasn't been announced to be cast in a new movie. He was announced in Fantastic Four. He's been announced in the Chris Farley biopic that they're working on. And this past week, he's now in another new movie called Press Your Luck. That is a movie based off of the game show. And I believe the premise of the movie is because wasn't there a contestant that guessed the rhythm and the algorithm of every time something was popping up? So they won so much money from it, and they kind of caught him, or they kind of realized it, or he admitted, or something like that. I think he's playing that person from the show. So, oh, Jenny's back. Just realized, plan to rewatch Riddick. Now, that is a movie I have not gone back to in a very long time. That Riddick franchise is an interesting one, and a pretty well done one from what I remember. And that's timely too, because I do believe, Vin Diesel recently announced that he is working on a sequel to that franchise. I mean, I think Vin Diesel has not much going on, so he's trying his best to bring back a lot. Let's just hope he doesn't do another Triple X movie, because the last one was rough. You know, because the Fast and Furious franchise is coming to an end really soon, so he's gonna need to glom on to another franchise to get things going for himself. So it'll be really interesting to see what he comes up with that. But that's a great one. I need to kind of go back to that at one point. But this past week, we got 2 new announcements as far as the Fantastic Four movie is concerned, with 2 big casting news. One is we got the news that John Malkovich has now been cast in the Fantastic Four movie. And that was like an interesting one too, because I never would have expected John Malkovich to kind of just show up in a Marvel movie. But I guess never say never, right? Anything's possible. So we got John Malkovich joining the Fantastic Four movie here. John Malkovich joining Marvel's Cinematic Universe, with the actor reportedly taking a role in Fantastic Four. Specifics of his part are under wraps, not unlike with Paul Walter Hauser, who joined the cast recently in an undisclosed role. They joined a cast that includes, like I mentioned before, Pedro Pascal, who plays Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby, who plays Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn, who is Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Ebon Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm, and Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer. And then this gives a little bit about their filming schedule, and Matt Shakman, who is the director of WandaVision, who's also taking on script writing and directing of this movie too. So, who could John Malkovich be playing? I don't think it's going to be a big role, to be honest. Maybe he's going to play the Baxter Building's doorman. I don't know. I don't know. But again, what I mentioned before, anytime you have any actor, actress with such a pedigree, it's always good to kind of see them in a franchise movie like this. And Marvel has done a pretty decent job with a lot of their casting. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what the possibility is here. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think he's going to play like a major character. Like, I don't expect him to be like a major villain or a major like canon type of character. Who knows? Maybe, like I said, doorman of the Baxter Building. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it's been a while since Malkovich has been. Hey, Sigma. Hello again. Yeah, but we'll see. Butler. Yeah, he could play a butler. Oh my god, it would be funny. So I said before last week when they announced Paul Walter Hauser as being cast in the Fantastic Four, I said, oh, maybe he's going to play the voice of Herbie, the little robot. Imagine if they actually used John Malkovich as his voice as the robot. I mean, he has such a distinct voice. You know, it's like him and Christopher Walken. They have like two of the like very distinct voices in Hollywood. Of course, outside of like um, James Earl Jones and Morgan Freeman. But it will be so funny to hear Malkovich's voice as a robot. Reed, I don't think you know what you're doing. That is my really piss poor attempt at a John Malkovich. I'm so sorry. I don't think you are thinking of things very clearly. Okay, I'm gonna stop before I get ahead of myself. Uh, hey, George Lucas, what do you think of this casting? Well, it's John Malkovich is a very, I almost cast him in Star Wars at one point. He was supposed to play the role of Obi-Wan, but it just didn't work out. He wasn't old enough, I think. All right, thanks, George. Really, really nice having you on the show every time you have a chance. So, but you're good. You're thirsty. You need anything? No, you're good. All right. Well, just let me know I'm here. Okay, thanks. Now you have John Malkovich, Paul Walter Hauser in the Fantastic Four, amongst another great slew of cast members. And there was at one point a rumor, and I don't know how big the rumor is now with this piece of news that dropped, that either Giancarlo Esposito or I forget who else they were talking about, but this person was going to be cast as Galactus, the big villain in Fantastic Four. But all those rumors went out the window, I should say, when they announced that Ralph Ineson is cast as Galactus in the Fantastic Four. And I'm actually very intrigued by this piece of news, because Ralph Ineson has an interesting history with Disney that I don't know if a lot of people remember or recall. But let's read the piece of news that dropped first. So Ralph Ineson, veteran British actor Ralph Ineson, has scored the key role of Marvel Universe's villain Galactus in the upcoming Fantastic Four film at Marvel Studios. So in case you didn't know anything about Galactus, in the comics, Galactus is a planet-devouring force of nature and is depicted as a gigantic humanoid with signature purple armor and helmet. He was previously seen on the big screen in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, albeit only shown in a form of a gigantic spatial cloud, which I remember seeing this in the theater and getting very excited to see Galactus show up. And when all you saw was just cloud, I was just like, are you kidding me? You're gonna like cop out that way and be very cheap? I was so pissed off. You have no idea. In the comics, the character is a cosmic entity who consumes planets to sustain his life force, operating without regard to the morality or judgments of mortal beings. Frequently accompanied by a herald, the character has appeared as both antagonist and protagonist in central and supporting roles in comics. Ineson's career has run for decades and has ranged from the Harry Potter film franchise to The Witch to The Northman, and more recent, the first Omen prequel film. There's also another role that I will get to shortly after. And then again, it talks about who else is in the movie, who's writing, who's directing, and speculation as far as era is concerned. All right. So, I think Ralph Ineson is a great character actor. Every time he pops up in a movie or a show, he's always one of those guys who's like, oh, that guy, I remember that guy. Oh, I really like this guy. And he's always like a gruff, gritty type of guy, right? And I love every time he shows up. He's a great actor. Now, he was in a Disney property recently with some controversy. And again, I think a lot of people may have forgotten, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who didn't watch this show. I watched some of it, and I still have yet to finish it. But good luck trying to find it anywhere, because it doesn't even exist on Disney Plus anymore. And that is the Willow TV series. I was always a big Willow fan. I love the original Willow movie. It's such a cute and very charming movie. Val Kilmer is amazing in that movie. So they decided to do a TV series to follow up as a sequel Didn't do that great. Eventually, Disney Plus decided to remove it from their streaming platform. And now it is left in limbo somewhere. But Ralph Ineson was in the Willow series. And guess what? Ralph Ineson actually sued Disney because he said he suffered from long-term injuries from the filming and making of that show. So I'm here on Deadline just to remind everyone about all of this, because I don't know, again, how many people remember this, or even if they were aware. But British actor sues Disney claiming permanent damage after injury on Willow. British actor Ralph Ineson is suing Disney in a suit that alleges he sustained injury filming a scene in fantasy TV show Willow. The UK's Sun newspaper reports that Ineson, 54, claims to have suffered permanent shoulder damage in a night shoot during the production in the UK of the Disney Plus TV sequel to hit the 1988 movie. His claim in the London High Court details that on set in South Wales in July 2021, Ineson was dressed as a knight in armor and battling with a 9-foot-tall ogre called the Scourge when he fell awkwardly and dislocated his shoulder. Ineson is now suing the Walt Disney Company for damages for up to £150,000. That is $190,500 in US dollars. Claiming that his injuries have prevented him taking on subsequent physical roles, with his ability to play roles involving fighting and horse riding permanently impaired. His suit details that the producers are liable through exerting pressure of filming to deadline and not cleaning the steps where Ineson fell. So, and the article continues to say about other things about his career and all that. So I guess water under the bridge, Disney? How did they settle out of court? I mean, it's kind of funny how, when you hear something like that happens very recently, and then now he's cast in another Disney property, there must have been some talks behind the scenes, just like, hey, we understand that you're injured. Maybe it prevents you from doing other things. I know you're suing us, but how about this? We'll give you this role. We'll promise you X amount of money. Maybe we'll give you some back-end points for box office or whatever the case is. Drop the lawsuit. We'll take care of you. We'll pay for all your medical costs and all that. Hey, and guess what? Galactus is a giant being that doesn't do much of anything. He just stands there, hovers above his planet that he's about to eat, maybe says some words, calls out to his heralds, and then he starts to kind of suck in the energy and the life force of whatever planet he's trying to eat. That's it. You don't have to do much. So I don't think we'll expect Galactus to be like a Thanos character and actually do any fighting. So we're probably not going to see any of that because poor Ralph Ineson can't do those type of roles anymore. But, it is what it is. And like I said, Ralph Ineson is a great actor. So I think it'll be really interesting to see him play a role like this. And this will be the very first time since the Eternals that we get to see an quote-unquote Eternals show up. Will they address that random Eternal that's still sticking out of the ocean in the Antarctic or something like that? Who knows? But that thing is still there. You got birds hanging out on top of it, shitting on it and all that. No one's batting an eye on it. But it'll be nice to kind of finally get to see an entity, an Eternal like this, interact more with their characters and interact more on screen so we could actually see what they can do. And Galactus is a great kind of villain to be featured. And of course, it's Fantastic Four, so of course he would show up in that movie. But I guarantee you, we'll probably also get to see a Doctor Doom show up. And Galactus may be kind of an introduction villain. He's the villain that's going to probably be around for a while, like a Thanos, be behind the scenes more. Who knows if he's actually going to really interact with the Fantastic Four in this film or all that. Or are we just going to see him kind of talk to Julia Garner's Silver Surfer and, say, hey, I need you to scout planets for me. And okay, here I go. And then she's going to go around and do that. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But again, what's up, Oz? Oz Green? OG into hizzy. Again, I like to always say, if you want to check out Oz, he does a really fantastic podcast with the crew over at Double Toasted called What's Up, Son? Airs Monday nights on the Double Toasted channel. Whether I believe they go live on Twitch, Kick, Facebook, and then clips can be found on YouTube, I think. So check out my boy. I've known this guy. Can you believe I've known this guy for more than 20 years? What the hell's wrong with me? Why is he still my friend? Jesus. Get out of here. Now, maybe he'll pop up on here one day too. Who knows? But yes, he has a great voice. Ralph Ineson has an amazing voice. And you are right. Money is the best, is indeed the best band-aid to cure everything. So, but I do find that hilarious. I do find that extremely hilarious that, you know, here he is, Ralph Ineson on Willow, gets injured, sues Disney. Oh, by the way, here's your new Galactus. Hey, it's me. Remember me? So, definitely OG. We definitely have to make that happen sometime soon. So yeah, so I'm excited about this Fantastic Four news. I mean, look, the whole movie could be a big stinking pile of shit, but if anything, it's more than likely going to be better than the Tim Story versions that we got, you know, back in the 90s, right? It has to be. Even though there is a part of me, those movies are kind of like guilty pleasure movies. You know, it's nice to kind of see what they tried to do back then. You know, it's nice to see a very young Chris Evans playing Johnny Storm. There's something fun about that. I don't know. It's the same kind of campy fun that I get when I watch the very first live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. You watch it today, it's not the best movie, but there's something in there that I just find charming for me. And that's the same type of tone I feel like the Fantastic Four movies have. It's a little bit more lighthearted. It's a little bit on the comedic side of things. A little crazy ridiculousness happening, but it's entertaining for me. Are they great movies? Not at all. But for me, you know, I am thoroughly entertained by all those things. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens with when we get more and more news out of the Marvel camp about Fantastic Four. When we get more of a story ironed out, really, it'll be really, really interesting to see how all that's going to play out. So, but yeah, big Fantastic Four movie news in the last couple of weeks. So really, really excited and happy about all that. Another big piece of news that dropped this past week, and something that really shocked the living hell out of me. They just keep going back to this well over and over again. And I guess, I'll be honest, the first thing that popped into my mind when I heard this news drop was desperation. Warner Brothers is really trying so hard to get a franchise that will bring them a lot of money. I think they've been trying to do that for a long time. Ever since the original Lord of the Rings trilogy ended, they tried it with The Hobbit. Didn't really do that great. They tried it with Harry Potter, which was a cash cow for them, until it eventually ended. Then they tried to get that back with Fantastic Beasts, which didn't happen. The DCU flopped big time, right? You know, all the money they spent for the DCU with Zack Snyder and all those involved. Now they're hoping James Gunn can bring that back. And they just try again to see what's going to be that next big thing for them that they could kind of ride and get a lot of money from. And it looks like now they're going back to the well, because they announced that Peter Jackson, they got teamed up again with Peter Jackson to make another brand new Lord of the Rings movie. That's targeting a 2026 release. That's not that far away from now. You know, that's 2 years. You expect to hop on board, write a script, cast it, production, film it, edit, and all that stuff in 2 years? Look how long it took him to do the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. And even the Hobbit series. and now they expect him to kind of spit out something real quick like this. I don't know. Again, sounds of desperation to me. But Hollywood Reporter here has the article with the news about, and hold on, I'm just fixing something here. Peter Jackson working on new Lord of the Rings films for Warner Brothers, targeting 2026 debut. First film, which will center on the character of Gollum. We can't get enough of Gollum, apparently. Has Andy Serkis set to star and direct. So, Peter Jackson looks like he's going to be the overseer of this all. He's the Kevin Feige of the Warner Brothers Lord of the Rings franchise. Mind you, Amazon also has their own Lord of the Rings things going on with Rings of Power, which I think is slightly underrated. I think more people should give that series a chance. Because I kind of liked the first season. But it does definitely have a major feel of the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies. But they're like, hey, Peter, we need your help. We need some more Lord of the Rings movies. Okay, I got you. Saying the AI scripter is working overtime. Oh yeah, you know that guy who they have who's responsible for typing in all the cues in ChatGPT. It's like, oh my god, all right, we need a Lord of the Rings script. I need it centered around Gollum, and it's going to be this time era, and this person's involved, and this person's involved. Okay, what say you? Oh, okay, let's take that and this, and now do another draft, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, man, that dude, he is probably, ever since his news dropped, you know, that guy's like been typing away like crazy. But here we go. Warner Brothers has made it official it will be returning to Middle-earth on Warner Brothers Discovery's first quarter earnings conference call on Thursday. CEO David Zaslav, the king, the prince of Hollywood right now, I mean that sarcastically, said that the company is now in early stages of script development for the new Lord of the Rings movies, which he says they anticipate releasing in 2026 and will explore storylines yet to be told. What other stories needs to be told? You've told them all. At least those that really matter. You know, you have, what is this? You have the original trilogy from the books. You already had The Hobbit covered. Now they go back to the Silmarillion, right? And now you're trying to pick things from there to tell stories from. That's the whole Rings of Power situation going on in Amazon right now. So what untold stories are going to be told? Especially when it involves Gollum. Didn't we get enough of Gollum's storyline? You know? In Return of the King, it starts off with his backstory. How he came across the ring. How he screwed his friend over to get the ring. You know? And then how he evolved into the Gollum character. And then we saw him die and all that, and, you know, whatever. Then we got the Gollum video game that no one played. That's supposed to tell more stories of Gollum. Apparently no one really gives a shit. So why are we telling more Gollum stories? El Melts, this is for you. Chicken noodle soup! Motherfucker! Alright, that was a little extra. Why you wanted me to scream that? I don't know, but enjoy. Oz Green, the only way to spit that out that early. Yeah. Good old AI and ChatGPT. Well, anyway, the first film from New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers Pictures will be called The Lord of the Rings Hunt for Gollum. It's a working title, with Andy Serkis set to star and direct the feature. Zaslav says that director Peter Jackson and his longtime writing partners Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens, who he must be having some sort of threesome with these guys, right? I don't know. I'm just saying that. If Taika Waititi can do it, why can't he? It must be... It must be a New Zealand thing. I don't know. Anyway, we'll be involved. Those three, the trio, will be involved every step of the way. Boyens and Walsh will write the screenplay. The deal covers 2 films in the franchise. It's an honor and privilege to travel back to Middle-earth with our good friend and collaborator Andy Serkis, who has unfinished business with that stinker Gollum. Jackson, Boyens, and Walsh said in a statement, as lifelong fans of Professor Tolkien's vast mythology, we are proud to be working with Warner Brothers Discovery film chiefs Mike DeLuca Pam Abdi, and the entire team at Warner Brothers on another epic adventure. Yes, precious. The time has come once more to venture into the unknown with my dear friends, the extraordinary and incomparable, not incomparable, but maybe incomparable too, but incomparable guardians of Middle-earth, Peter, Fran, and Philippa. Added circus, I want to get in on that threesome. That's what he said. Precious. With Mike and Pam and Warner Brothers team on the quest as well, alongside Weta and our filmmaking family in New Zealand, it's just all too delicious. See? Delicious. Key word. Getting that 3D. Lord of the Rings is one of the most successful and revered franchises in history and presents a significant opportunity for a theatrical business, Zaslav said. Again, desperation. We need a hit. We need a new franchise to glom money off of. Wait, we already have this franchise. Let's bring it back. Ugh. Warner's first said that it was developing a new Lord of the Rings movie. It was developing new Lord of the Rings movies a little over a year ago, cutting a deal with rights holders Embracer. Oh God, Embracer. Jesus. To develop new films based on J.R.R. Tolkien's book series. For over 2 decades, moviegoers have embraced Lord of the Rings film trilogy because of the undeniable devotion Peter, Fran, and Philippa have shown towards protecting the legacy of Tolkien's works and endure audiences could experience the incredible world he created in a way that honors his literary vision. Abdi and DeLuca added, "We are honored they have agreed to be our partners on these 2 new films. With Andy coming aboard to direct Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum, we continue an important commitment to excellence that is a true hallmark of how we all want to venture ahead and further contribute to the Lord of the Rings cinematic history." All right, and the article goes on and on and on about other stuff. Look, Lord of the Rings is a great franchise. I've mentioned it already earlier in the stream. It's one of my favorite movie franchises out there. I have fond memories of the films, love the films, still enjoy watching it today. The Hobbit, it's alright. Not the greatest. And like I said, the Amazon show is slightly underrated. I think more people should give it a shot. I enjoyed it. It definitely is a slow burn, and it got better as you go on. And I hate saying that because, again, when you are investing so much time in the series, it sucks that you have to go through episodes that aren't that great just to build up to when it does get better. I hate that. But that's how TV works sometimes. But this just sounds and reeks of desperation to me. And they're really trying their hardest to bring something back. And if Peter Jackson is involved, I'm a little bit confident that maybe he can do something with it. Maybe he could bring some life back to this franchise and this world, introduce something new. I just don't like the fact that we're getting a Gollum movie. I don't care anymore about this guy. Why do we have to keep going back to his character? We've seen enough of his character already. Now, if they were planning to do like a series of anthology films, and Gollum's going to be one of them, I guess that's okay. There are a whole lot of other characters I think I would be more interested in, right? Rings of Power is talking about, who is this? Kate Blanchett's character from the movies, Galadriel, right? What about, Legolas's people? What about his character? What about Aragorn and his upbringing and all? There's a lot of other things that you could possibly explore if you really wanted to. But this also reminds me of something that Disney and Lucasfilm tried to do back then, which didn't work out. And they kind of dropped after it failed. And that is, they were planning to do a series of anthology films based off of characters from the universe. Y'all remember when they made that announcement? We were all supposed to get a Boba Fett movie, an Obi-Wan movie, a Yoda movie, and a Han Solo movie. Guess what? We got the Solo movie, and it wasn't great. Obi-Wan and Boba Fett turned into TV series, which guess what? Wasn't that great. Yoda, they said, F Yoda. Guess what? We'll do a baby Yoda. plop that character into another series called The Mandalorian. All said and done. Right? I feel like they're going to find themselves in the same boat as Disney and Lucasfilm found themselves in. And when they see that a lot of this stuff is just not going to work out, or the interest maybe is kind of like this, then I don't know. It's a big risk for them to take. You know, of course, I'll be there to watch it whenever it does get made and it does release, and I'll be here to share my thoughts about it all. But at the end of the day, I'm not super excited by it. It's interesting, and it's interesting to speculate and talk about, but at the same time, I think it might be, in my opinion, a very bad move on Warner Brothers. But I get it too on the business side of things. We have to look at it that way too. And I do come from a corporate environment previously, advertising. I understand how businesses work. I understand they have to meet, their bottom line. They have to please shareholders and all that. And when they have a franchise under their belt that they're not doing anything with right now, you might as well revisit it, especially since it's proven to do a lot for you in the past. And if done right, it could still do something for you in the future. So hopefully they have the right people involved. Again, Peter Jackson is a fantastic creator, and maybe he could usher in a new era of Lord of the Rings stuff. Or it could crash and burn, and at least we could say, like, oh well, we should have known that this was going to happen, right? And then we could talk about it in the future on how much of a failure it was. That's not what I want to do, but huge potential of that happening. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I say that a lot. We'll see what happens. Did you all see the new images of this new Matt Reeves Batman animated series that they're working on? I knew this new animated series was coming out. I had no idea Matt Reeves was involved in it. And I know some of the images were released. And it's going to be debuting on Amazon Prime. And it's called Batman Caped Crusader. And I don't know. I heard some discourse on it online. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. It has a very old school feel to it, which I kind of dig. But here, I'm back here again on The Hollywood Reporter. Some new details about Prime Video's upcoming animated series, The Batman filmmaker, which portrays the Dark Knight as a cold, remorseless avenger of evil. Here's a nice image of Catwoman. I kind of like how she looks here. Again, very old school. I like it. Matt Reeves' upcoming Batman animated series has released some first-look images, premiere date, and detailed character descriptions that give a sense of the show's tone. Titled Batman Caped Crusader, the series is billed as a reimagining of the Batman mythology through the lens of a team of genre super producers, which include Reeves, J.J. Abrams, and Bruce Timm. So Bruce Timm is involved in this, which is great. The official description: welcome to Gotham City, where the corrupt outnumber the good, criminals run rampant, and law-abiding citizens live in a constant state of fear. Forged in the fire of tragedy, wealthy socialite Bruce Wayne becomes something both more and less than human. The Batman. The Batman. Remember that show? With that theme song? Sorry. His one-man crusade for justice attracts unexpected allies within the GCPD and City Hall, but his heroic actions spawn deadly, unforeseen ramifications. The series will premiere all 10 episodes on Thursday, August 1st on Prime Video. Below are some of the character art. Look at this Batman. I don't know. Me? I like it. I like how this one looks. It's really bringing back an old school feel to it, and I dig it. Batman, a cold, remorseless avenger of evil, seemingly more machine than man. Forged in the fire of tragedy, every fiber of his being is dedicated to the eradication of crime. Ooh, I like that. Then Bruce Wayne, public at large. Bruce Wayne is a shallow dilettante apparently wasting his parents' vast fortune on frivolous pursuits and hedonistic pleasures. In fact, he is an elaborate facade, carefully constructed to divert attention from his activities as Batman. Okay, so nothing new there. Here's Selena Kyle, Catwoman, who we already saw. Selena Kyle is a blithe and pampered heiress whose family lost their fortune after her father was imprisoned for embezzlement. Despite having the silver spoon yanked from her mouth, Selena refuses to quit living in the lap of luxury and becomes Catwoman as a fun way to maintain her lavish lifestyle. Again, I love this look. Classic. Very old school. Harley Quinn. Now, I have a feeling this is where people get, they fall off. And they say, this doesn't look good. Or this doesn't look like my Harley Quinn, right? Harlequin Quinzel, Harley Quinn, despite a personable and bubbly demeanor, Dr. Harleen Quinzel is a brilliant psychiatrist who treats some of Gotham's elite. However, as Harley Quinn, she is different person entirely, a creepy, quiet, calculating menace who secretly dispenses her twisted justice to the truly despicable, among her elite clientele. Now, I'm not a fan of this look at all, but I'll be honest with you, I'm also not a fan of Harley Quinn. At least not her being introduced into this series now. I get her popularity in the original animated TV series, and as a character, she is very intriguing. But I feel like now there is a problem that they have with this character is that they feel the incessant need to constantly always have her somewhere. Anytime there's a DC universe, anytime there's anything DC related or Batman related, there's always that conversation is, where's Harley Quinn? Are we going to see Harley Quinn? Guess what? We don't always have to see her. She was never part of the main storyline in the comic books. She was introduced in the animated series for the first time, and then they shoehorned her into the canon and into the lore of Batman because of how popular she became. I don't think you have to include her every time, though. So she's here. This is what we're going to get. Fine. If she wasn't here at all, I wouldn't even bat an eye. Get it? Batman? Haha, pun intended. You blew it! Sorry. But anyway, we are getting Harley Quinn, and that is our Harley Quinn in this show. Commissioner Jim Gordon. Former beat cop, close to retirement, Gordon was hired to play along with the corrupt system and run out the clock till he can draw a pension. But they're sorely underestimating Jim Gordon. His unassailable character brings him into conflict with dirty cops and crooked politicians alike. Not to mention he has to reckon with a deranged vigilante beating up Gotham's criminals. This is our Clayface. Okay. That's interesting. Clayface. Thanks to his unique facial features, screen actor Basil Carlo has been forever typecast as a B-movie heavy. Frustrated by the limitations his appearance put on both his career and personal life, he fell hopelessly in love with his co-star. Carlo turned to an experimental serum that promised to change his face. However, not only does the serum ultimately disfigure his face, but it ruptures the last of his sanity, creating the tragic vengeance-seeking villain Clayface. So that's kind of cool. Kind of looks like a Lone Ranger guy. There's our Bruce Wayne. This, I'm assuming, is our Selena Kyle? Right? Maybe? And this is Harley Quinn as Dr. Quinzel. So I don't know. There are parts of this animation that does kind of harken to the original animated series. And then there's parts of it that look like they're definitely trying something different here. But I like the old school aesthetics. I love how it looks like a throwback to an old school vision of the Batman characters. So I dig it. But I know there's discourse online about it. But it is what it is. Did he? No, I cannot. But thank you for the comment anyway. All right. Other bit of news here. Let's see. There are some whatchamacallits, X-Men related news coming out of Marvel. Now, mind you, a lot of this are rumors, right? And let's see here. I just want to make sure I have the right stuff open. What's up, Milo? What we doing? We talking about stuff. Just hanging out. We're yapping about the latest news in movies and pop culture. If you have a topic you want to talk about, let me know in the chat, as long as it's within that realm. But that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Sorry. Oh, you know what? Before I get into the X-Men related news, because Jenny earlier did mention that she's going to plan to rewatch the Riddick movies tomorrow. Here's the latest news that I read from Vin Diesel about that franchise. And it's interesting because I think for the longest time, he's been trying so hard to bring this franchise back. And I think now that you have Fast and the Furious, Fast and Furious is closing out. You know, I think they said already, they confirmed that the next movie is going to be the very last one. And then who knows if he's going to be back to voice Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. But he needs something. And Riddick is a franchise that was pretty well praised at one point, and he's been dying so hard to bring this back. So, but before we do that, Milo, what do you think of the new X-Men show? I love it. I love it. I have enjoyed every episode so far. Even though some episodes are a little weaker than others, the show has been fantastic. I was a pretty big fan of the original animated show in the 90s. You know, I kind of spent my years during then watching Batman the animated show. And I love that they kept everything basically similar to like the original animated show. What I like about it too is that they kind of matured it even more so. The show, I've said before over and over again, is very horny. It is a very horny show. Everyone wants to get with each other. There's a lot of different love triangles and relationships and all those things. There's a decent amount of violence. We've seen blood pop up every now and then. And they're not afraid to take it places. This last episode that we got, which I'm planning to talk about in a little bit, I like to do a little recap every week on each episode. It ended in a crazy spot. Crazy spot. But I love that they went there. You know, I really have thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think they're doing a great job. I can't wait for what's going to happen in the last episode next week. So yeah. How about you, Milo? How are you enjoying it? Let us know. But here I am on Dark Horizons. Riddick Furia, not to be confused with Furiosa, is set to film this August. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Believe it. All right. A fourth installment of the Riddick franchise is on the way with actor Vin Diesel, set to reprise the role on Riddick Furia. Leviosa, not Leviosa. Production slated to begin August 26th. Deadline broke the news, saying shooting will take place in Germany, Spain, and the UK as the project reunites him with writer-director David Twohy. However you pronounce that. I apologize if I'm butchering the name. Diesel will reprise his role as anti-hero Richard B. Riddick, the dangerous escaped convict with the mirror eyeballs, who is wanted by every bounty hunter in the galaxy. Here, he finally returns to his homeworld, a place he barely remembers and one he fears might be left in ruins. But there he finds other Furians fighting for their existence against a new monster. And some of these Furians are more like Riddick than he could ever have imagined. The film follows on from the events of Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and Riddick. Wow, it's crazy. The original came out in 2000. Then 2004 was Riddick. So that means this year we're celebrating an anniversary of that movie. And 2013. Look at the huge gap between that. Diesel, Samantha Vincent, Thorsten Schumacher, Joe Neureuter, and Lars Sylvest will produce. Sylvest, sorry. Worldwide pre-sales for the film have already reportedly been completed. So they got a buyer, so they got a studio. And they have, all right, so they have, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Again, I don't know if anyone was clamoring for another Riddick movie, but he has been. And it's been, what, 11 years since we got a movie in the Riddick franchise? So it'll be interesting. It'll be really, really interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, let's talk about this X-Men news. So, Jeff Snyder, who is kind of like a news scooper, he's a scoops guy. I've known this guy for a very long time. I keep saying that I will always remember him as the critic that fought Uwe Boll in the boxing ring and lost. Well, everyone lost, who decided to fight with that guy. But I give him major props for having the balls to do so. He dropped that, 7 months after Deadline's article about Kevin Feige taking pitches for writers for their X-Men movie that they're working on for the MCU. There is a decision growing very near, and 2 finalists are in talks right now to be the writers of this movie, of whatever this movie is going to end up being. And let's see, we have. Sorry, I'm just reading some of this news here. What's going on, Rayleigh? What's your favorite celebrity? I don't know if I have a favorite celebrity per se. I kind of just don't. I don't follow celebrities like that, to be honest with you. There are some celebrities that I respect out there, like I like, I think Ryan Reynolds is cool. Pedro Pascal, I'm a huge fan of. As far as like actresses, I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm a big fan of Bryce Dallas Howard, Emily Blunt, Jessica Chastain. But I'm not like a big celebrity person. I don't fanboy over celebrities. That's just not my thing. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me do some looking up here. X-Men movie writer rumors. So, here we go. So there are 2 names, like I mentioned before. The 2 names are Rafe Judkins and Michael Leslie. Those are the 2 right now in contention to be the writers of the X-Men movie that Marvel's working on. Judkins is known for being a showrunner and writer of Prime Video's The Wheel of Time. He also worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and wrote Uncharted. Oof. Leslie most recently wrote The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He previously wrote the Assassin's Creed film in 2016. Coming up, he will write the script for Now You See Me 3. Oh, jeez. I don't know about this now. I don't have a lot of confidence in these 2 candidates, to be honest with you. It kind of sounds rough. Sounds rough. Let's see. If these are the 2 writers that they have in talks or as finalists, I don't know. I'm a little concerned with those projects that they were involved in, because that just does not sound fascinating at all to me. But we'll see. Maybe if they write with certain direction from Kevin Feige's tutelage, then maybe something can be worked on there. But other than that, I'm not I'm a little concerned. A little concerned. But then again, these are just rumors, so you take it with a grain of salt, right? So, are you excited about the new Deadpool movie? Absolutely. Absolutely. I have always been a huge fan of the Deadpool series. I was never really a fan of the comic books because the time Deadpool came out, I was already kind of leaning away from comic book reading, and I was getting more into movies and other things. So I didn't really grow up reading him in the comic books. I knew of him from the cartoons and other iterations. But the first two movies have been fantastic. And what I'm really looking forward to here is how are they going to explain, and I'm assuming that this is going to be the entry and the introduction of the X-Men and mutants, really full-on mutants in the MCU. I'm curious how they're going to bridge the gap in this movie, because given that this is the only Marvel film coming out this year, they have a lot riding on this movie. And this is going to be a nice litmus test for them to see how well received people are going to be with what they're planning for in the Marvel universe moving forward. So I'm super excited to see what is going to happen here. Plus, I think the chemistry that he has with Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, is going to be fantastic. And it's going to be fun to kind of see the back and forth there between him, between Deadpool and Wolverine. And I've already said it before, and I'm sure a lot of people are saying the same thing. This is not the same Wolverine that we grew up watching in the movies. Yes, it's Hugh Jackman. Yes, it looks like him. But this is definitely an alternate reality. This is another universe's Wolverine. Because this is not the same old man Logan that we got from the Fox universe, right? So it'll be really interesting to see what this version of Wolverine, what he went through, and kind of what caused his destruction of the world that he came from. Hence why Deadpool has to kind of team up with him or stop him or something. So I'm excited for that. Rayleigh likes Prime. Yeah, Prime has been doing some decent stuff, especially I would say more so on the series side of things. Like I love the series that they come out with. Movies are hit and miss for the most part, but Prime is a decent platform for sure. I keep saying this though over and over again. A lot of people have Prime because they all subscribe to Prime for the other stuff that it comes with, right? Amazon delivery, other benefits. Prime as a video standalone platform, I still personally for myself cannot justify subscribing to it on a monthly basis because there's just not enough for me personally. Now, I'm just speaking about me. Max and Disney Plus has more things that I'm always interested in. So I can justify the subscription for those platforms. Even Netflix to a certain extent. But Prime is one of those things where if they have something that I like, I will subscribe for that month to watch it. And then when it's done, I'll stop. But I think the last thing I watched there that I really enjoyed was the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Childish Gambino. Donald Glover. I really thought that was a great series. I think they did a really good job with that. And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you check it out. Because I wasn't a fan of the movie, the original movie with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. I remember falling asleep during it, but this one they made it interesting and they made it fun. I really liked it. Milo, the only thing I really watch on Prime is the Fallout show. I'm currently watching that now. I loved the first episode. Loved it. I loved what they were going with. And I'm not a fan of the video game series. I've never played it. But from what they introduced you to and the world that they kind of introduced you to, I really loved it. So I have the rest of the series I need to kind of finish up on. But so far, I've been really enjoying it. And funny that you mentioned Fallout because huge news about Fallout on Amazon and how well it's been doing for that platform. So Fallout set a Nielsen record for Amazon. Nielsen is the company that kind of measures kind of viewership and ratings and all that. So viewer response to Amazon's Prime Video's Fallout TV series has been immense, becoming the streamer's second biggest series ever worldwide release after 16 days of release. In the United States, it's the top according to third-party ratings giant Nielsen. The show recorded 2.9 billion minutes of viewing time in the United States over its first 5 days in a just released report by Nielsen for the week of April 8th through the 14th. That's easily the best opening for a series on Prime Video, beating Reacher in early 2022, which pulled in 1.84 billion minutes. The series also had more than double the second place listed title on the list for the week, Bluey, at 1.39 billion minutes, which includes the first day of its special episode release, The Sign. Netflix unscripted series Unlocked, a Jail Experiment, and the 5th season of Star Trek Discovery also made the top 10, which was the top streaming movie for the week. So Fallout has been blowing records left and right. And I can see why a lot of people are so big on this series after just seeing the first episode. But a lot of people have loved the series in total. So I can't wait to finish it up myself. And yeah, good things from Amazon on that series. So I'm really happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that for those involved in making the show and for the fans who are fans of the show. So really, really good stuff overall. Very, very happy. Let's see here. What else can we talk about this morning? And if any of you have any questions for me, please continue throwing them at me. I love the conversation. Oh, this one, speaking of Amazon, I feel like Amazon and Prime Video has been on a roll in the last couple of weeks with a lot of announcements, a lot of hits, a lot of acclaim. So this is something that I didn't even know that they were working on. I had no idea that they were working on a Blade Runner 2099 series. And they made an announcement that Michelle Yeoh is going to be cast in it. So here I am back again on The Hollywood Reporter. Michelle Yeoh cast in Blade Runner 2099 from Amazon. The Prime Video's Blade Runner TV sequel has cast Star Trek Discovery actress in the lead role. Oscar-winning Everything Ever All at Once actress has signed on to Blade Runner 2099. The limited series is from showrunner Silka Louisa, who is responsible for Shining Girls, which I'm not familiar with, and executive producer by original Blade Runner director Ridley Scott. That's good to know that he's involved somehow. Jonathan Van Tuleken of Shogun will direct the first 2 episodes. There's no description yet of Yeoh's role. The actress made history last year as the first Best Actress Oscar winner of Asian descent for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's also known for her roles in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Memoirs of a Geisha, Tomorrow Never Dies, and Star Trek Discovery. Yeoh will soon reprise her role as Trek's Emperor Philippa Georgiou, I hope I'm saying that right, in the TV movie Star Trek Section 31. In addition to Louisa and Scott, the show's executive producers include Andrew Kosov, Broderick Johnson, Ben Roberts, David Zucker, Clayton Kruger, Tom Spaziali, God, I hope I said that name right, Richard Sharkey, Michael Green, Cynthia Yorkin, Frank Giustra, and Isa Dick Hackett. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Dick Hackett. There's no premiere date set yet for the show. But it will be the first new Blade Runner thing that we've got since 2017's Blade Runner 2049. I don't even know what the premise is for this show. They don't seem to know yet either. Again, this is like a huge surprise to me because I had no idea that they were working on a show like this. I love the Blade Runner series. The first Blade Runner is a classic. I love it. The second one, 2049, arguably maybe even better than the original. But I love that movie. Not a lot of people talk about that movie. I'm also a big Denis Villeneuve fan, and I think Denis directed the hell out of that movie. Really, really well done. So yeah, very, very interesting. 2099. So we're going 50 years further into the future there. And Michelle Yeoh is a great actress. She does really well. It's crazy how she is involved in so many major properties. Kind of like low-key under the radar too, right? I feel bad. There's a like, was it American Born Chinese that she was attached to that was canceled after the first season. The Brother's Son on Netflix was also well received, but then canceled after the first season on Netflix. So I hope she has a hit soon because I feel like some projects she's been attached to recently has not done well. So, have you ever heard of the movie When the Wind Blows? It's a really interesting movie. Might not be your type of thing, but it's worth checking out. When the Wind Blows. Why does that sound familiar? Hold on, let me look it up. When the Wind Blows. Oh, this is an animated film. It's from British animated film. It's a disaster film. Jimmy Murakami, based on Raymond Briggs' graphic novel of the same name. Oh, this looks really interesting. Huh. I've never heard of this before. It kind of reminds me, or at least the subject matter reminds me a little bit like Grave of the Fireflies, which to this day I have a hard time watching because it gets me every time. Who's Jimmy Murakami? He also did Snowman. Huh. Japanese American fan was interned. Oh wow. I had no idea. Oh, he worked for Toei Animation and established Murakami Wolf Productions. Huh. He also worked on 3 films for Roger Corman. Battle Beyond the Stars, as well as Les Pêcheurs des Perles and Pascavision. Oh, wow. You know what? Thank you for introducing me to this. I will add this to my watch list because this sounds really, really interesting, honestly. Thank you for the suggestion. I will. I am now very curious to check this out. So thank you for that. Never heard of it, but like the premise, I don't know if you ever seen Grave of the Fireflies, another classic anime movie. Just very gut wrenching and very hard to watch. But it is such a well done movie. So yeah. So thank you for this. I really appreciate that, Milo. Great recommendation. All right. Let's see. Sorry, I don't mean to be silent. I'm just looking at some of the recent news here. Things that I've kind of clipped out, things that I kind of wanted to talk about or highlighted that I may want to talk about. I know it's also fun to hear that Sony is going to be releasing Danny Boyle's movie 28 Years Later, the sequel to 28 Days Later, June of 2025, next year. So that's going to be fun. Can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. They got the Shang-Chi screenwriter Dave Callahan, who's going to be writing for the Monsterverse now. And that person is going to be writing the new script for the follow-up of Godzilla Kong. That's fascinating. So yeah, there's a lot of different things to talk about here. And I'm not done yet. I'm going to definitely talk about some. And speaking of Kong or Godzilla, again, very, very excited to finally receive this in the mail. For those of you who may have missed it on the stream earlier. Finally just got this in-house. So excited for this. That is the Japanese 4K Blu-ray release of Godzilla -1. I got it in hand, and for those of you who are new to the channel, I do this little series called Beyond the Disc, where I like to explore packaging, art, and menu design in Blu-ray DVD releases. So this is definitely going to be featured in an upcoming episode of that, because I'm so excited to unbox this. And it comes with so many cool things inside. And I just love this movie. I really, really love this movie. And right now, this is the only way to get it on physical media. So I'm very, very excited for that. Very, very excited. So I can't wait to check that out. A little ASMR for you. For those who are into ASMR. What the hell am I doing? What's up, Kwandale? I hope that's how you pronounce your name. And if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, you're too kind. Am I? I just always want to make sure I'm pronouncing everyone's name correctly. And if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. So like I asked earlier, what's everyone doing this weekend? I'm going to take a little break from the news right now and just chill out for a bit, catch my breath, and catch up with everyone here. Anyone planning on watching anything cool? Movies, TV related? Anyone playing any video games? Where did I get this Star Wars mug? This is one of my all-time favorite mugs ever. All-time favorite. I got this at Disney World. I can't remember when. A very long time ago. And it was one of those things that, you know, when you see something, you're like, that, I need that, that's mine. That's basically what happened with this mug. And I love it. My little Chewbacca mug. I love it. Osgreen Democracy is calling, damn it! I don't know if anyone else here is playing Helldivers too, but OG and I, we love our Helldivers. The dumpster divers in the house, as we call ourselves. Yeah! We love our dumpster diving. And yeah, we know there's a lot of, you know, kind of talk and discourse online about how Sony is handling the whole Helldivers thing. And I agree, they're not handling it well. You know, but I love Arrowhead with what they did with this game. It's a game that I feel like I've been needing for a while, because we haven't gotten anything like this in a minute where I could play with my friends and enjoy, you know, without having such a huge time commitment either. There's no major storyline that we always have to like follow. It's just good all get in, get things done action, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know if anyone else is playing it, but we're having a blast playing it. Major blast. So, let's see. Speaking of video games, let's talk about this real quick. Now, I'm not going to talk about, obviously, the major news right now is Xbox. Xbox Division is not doing so hot in the news right now with all the recent studio closures and layoffs. I'm not going to be talking about all that stuff. I've seen people who are very mad at it, you know, saying that it's the end of Xbox. Xbox, end of an era. I don't think Xbox is going anywhere. I don't agree with a lot of what they're doing. And like I said before, previously, whenever Sony does something I don't agree with, I call them out on it and I talk about it. Whenever Xbox and Microsoft does something that I don't agree with, I call them out and talk about it. And I think the way they're handling this right now, it's business, but I think it could have been handled a little differently. Unfortunately, I feel like because of the direction that they're going, I think they've realized too late that their model that they've been putting out there is very unsustainable. And it makes a lot of sense. And I'm talking about like Game Pass. Because Game Pass, from what I can tell and what I've been told, it is very, very hard for a company to really gauge the popularity of titles that they put out there. Plus, you are costing the developers and yourself money that you could be making when you sell the games to consumers first instead of including it day one on a subscription service, right? I understand all that stuff. And also, I think it comes with the territory that whenever you buy a company or you buy several companies, there will be overlap and eventually there'll be time to have to consolidate. And I think we're seeing a lot of that happening now. Also, the whole problem with the reliance on AAA games and the importance being put in that stuff, I feel like there's certain plots that have been lost along the way where every studio would have their AAA titles, but they will also have their little smaller titles that they would release in lieu of those AAA titles, right? So I feel like they've definitely lost the plot along the way, and now they're kind of suffering from it, and now they're forced to make a lot of these changes moving forward, and it's causing a lot of heartache and problems in the industry. But it's an industry that's currently suffering all across the board. We are in a recession, so every company, every business is suffering right now. The movie industry is suffering, TV markets are suffering, advertising is suffering, and video games is also going to be an industry that suffers. So it is what it is. It's not fun to see, but it is what it is. Milo, what do you think about the new Nintendo console that's coming out this year? I think it's time. I think the Switch is a fantastic piece of hardware. Nintendo is always good with introducing new hardware and new ways to play games. I think it's time. They should have released one by now because the power of the current console is very weak. And they need something in order to continue getting the backing from third-party studios to produce games for their consoles that they're happy to work with. They need their technology to be increased. They need to get along the times, within the times of technology today. And they need the power behind their consoles. Nintendo games, first-party games, don't need powerful systems. You know, that's one thing everyone should remember. But in order to get support from third-party companies that do need powerful systems, they need a system that can maintain and support that. So I think it is definitely time. So I'm curious and excited to see what they're going to come out with their next system. I'm always curious and interested anytime a new system comes out, especially for Nintendo. I'm curious what they're going to call it. You know, I know they're not going to call it Switch 2. It would be kind of weird if they do that. They should call it Super Switch. Kind of like Super Nintendo. How about Super Switch? Or Switch Super? I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see. And it'll be interesting to see if they're basically just going to come out with new hardware, but have it look very similar to the Switch that we have now, or if it's going to look very different. You know, are they going to still have the Joy-Con support, or is it going to be an all-in-one encompassing kind of portable device like a ROG Ally or a Steam Deck? I don't know. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what they come up with. But it's time. It's definitely time for them. I like the Super Switch. Yeah, Super Switch. You know, kind of like pay homage to, like, you know, the Super Nintendo. Yeah, you had your Nintendo, and then you have the Super Nintendo. So now you have the Switch, Super Switch. What's up, Super Switch? And then you could go around the schoolyards and you know, bragging to your friends, "Oh, you got a Switch? Well, I got a Super Switch. Ha ha ha! You suck." Yeah, and then you get your ass beat, and then there goes your Super Switch. But yeah, I'm excited. And like I said, it's time. It's time for Nintendo to upgrade. Rayleigh's back! What's up, Rayleigh? Welcome back. Welcome back to the days da da dum ba da da ba doo. Welcome back. Sup? We've gotten to the point of the stream where I'm just talking about anything. So if you have any questions or anything, any topic to bring up, as long as it's within the movie, pop culture, video game world, landscape, and all that, by all means. And I'm still perusing some of my savings here as far as topics to talk about. Like this one. Like I do want to kind of talk about this one. Warner Brothers Discovery chiefs on the Suicide Squad game failure. So obviously, if you follow everything, and you know by now, the Suicide Squad game was... right? I had a feeling it was going to be like that. I was invited to play like the alpha version of the game. And even though I thought the characters and playing as some of the characters were entertaining, I had a feeling the game itself was not going to be good. It was very clunky. It was very messy. It wasn't what I would call fun for the most part. And I knew it wasn't going to do well when it came out. And it didn't. It was received very poorly. What was it? Was it 3 weeks after or a month after it already went on sale? But it looks like some of the chiefs at Warner Brothers are finally addressing it. So Rocksteady Studios is... And it sucks too, because Rocksteady Studios, from what I heard, they didn't want to do this game. They didn't want to do this game at all. They were kind of forced to do this game. Because, they're so used to doing like the Arkham series. They wanted to do a follow-up to that. But instead, everyone wanted to get on the bandwagon. The Fortnite bandwagon, right? The play as a service type of system. And they wanted them to make a game like this. And they did, because they had no choice. And look what happened. So I feel bad for Rocksteady. But live service game Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a failure at launch, and now Warner Brothers Discovery has revealed how much it has cost them. Uh-oh. Here we go. In the company's quarterly financial results announced the morning of, this was back on May 9th, Thursday, they say games revenue declined significantly compared to last year when major single-player bestseller Hogwarts Legacy debuted to audiences' praises and strong sales. In contrast, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was panned by critics and launched to extremely low player numbers, which have only heated downward since. Heated. 9 years was spent on the game's development. Oh my god, 9 years. That's crazy to think that they spent that much time on this game. In a follow-up investor-focused call, WBD CEO David Zaslav called the release disappointing, while Chief Financial Officer Gunnar, can you imagine having a name Gunnar? Hi, I'm Gunnar. Wendenfels revealed that the game's failure had a negative effect on company revenue, with a $200 million impact to earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Amortization! Say that 3 times fast. It's not clear how long Rocksteady will stay committed to pumping out new content for Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and their next project hasn't yet been announced. But it looks like Warner Brothers have lost $200 million in that venture. Sucks. Really sucks. Milo, I feel like we're seeing a lot more indie or smaller studios in spotlight recently. The name Gunner was used in 1911. It is really rare. I've come across some people with the name Gunner, in past years. I haven't heard it recently, but it is definitely a unique name to have, Gunner. Also feels like a very American name, doesn't it? Gunner. American or like European in a way. But yeah, Milo, you're right. There are going to be a lot of indie studios and smaller studios in focus, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that in the coming year or two. Because if you look at any new release, as if we're sticking with video games, a lot of the praises in recent games are from smaller studios, with the exception of like a Helldivers 2 or whatever. And I feel like a great case in point, the studio behind Baldur's Gate 3, right? Is it Larkane? I forgot how you pronounce the studio's name. They won Game of the Year last year, right? From multiple outlets. They were independent. They did the game on their own, right? They worked on it for many, many, many years. And look how much of a success they've made out of it, right? And we hear that a lot, especially with a lot of games that are very highly talked about. Sea of Stars, the studio behind that, is another one. You know, so you're going to hear a lot more about smaller studios, indie studios, because they are studios that aren't tied to any franchises, aren't tied to any pressures from bigger companies and bigger studios and console-specific contracts. They're not under pressure for any of that stuff. So they could really focus on what matters most, and that's gameplay and story. You know, and with the failure of AAA games right now, or at least the long amounts of time we have to wait on getting a AAA title released, people need something to play now. And that's why you'll get to see a lot more people playing and focusing on games from the smaller studios. Rayleigh, I got a question. Who's Michael Jackson? Are you being serious? What is that in relation to? I mean, Michael Jackson is a big pop star, right? I'm just curious. You know, Michael Jackson is a big pop star originally from the Jackson 5, from like the 70s, then veered into his own solo career in the 80s and became a major pop sensation. Known worldwide, right? Major hits. A lot of big hits. And of course, I won't bring up or talk about any of the controversies behind any of the other stuff, but there is that too. All right, let's see. Oh, who's excited for that new Nintendo World Championship game coming out? Huh? I am so super excited about that. And at the same time, I'm also not disappointed, but a little upset that us here in America, we're not getting the best version of it as far as the physical copy is concerned. But so Nintendo recently announced, and I was surprised to hear this announcement actually, is that one of the games that they're working on that's coming out for the Switch right now is the Nintendo World Championships. NES Edition, as they call it. And in this game, you are basically tasked to do these mini objectives, right? And it's timed, and you get points, and you get to play with your friends and all that. And whoever gets the biggest points is the winner. It's based off of an actual competition that happened back in 1990, which I actually went to. I have a picture somewhere. I have to dig it up. But I remember having a picture with all of my friends when they had the Nintendo World Championship at the Jacob Javits Center here in New York City. I went there with my friends, and what was really cool about it too was that it was not only a competition, but it was kind of like a Nintendo convention, so to speak. You had dealers in there, you had Nintendo merchandise you could buy, and they used it as a showcase to highlight some of the games coming up for their Nintendo system at the time, back in 1990. I remember playing the Punisher game for the Nintendo, and playing a bunch of other games there. And I remember I bought like these like nice little Nintendo pins I was able to take home. And but you could also buy a ticket to compete, to try to compete and get on the big stage and all. I remember we all competed. We all lost, and then I bought another ticket to try again, to try to see if I could get past that stage, and I failed again too. But it was a lot of fun. It was like a moment in time that was so exciting. Later on, they followed up again during the Super Nintendo years. I guess that's why they're calling this the NES edition, because maybe they're working on a Super Nintendo edition too in the future. So I thought this was a really cool excitement. So here in America, you can buy a physical copy that you could currently pre-order now. I'm here on the Best Buy website where they have it available for pre-order. And and here you can get the physical copy, which will come with, let's see, features. So within this edition, you're going to get a gold-colored replica NES cartridge, 13 art cards, 5 pins, and the physical copy of the game itself, right? Which in itself is fun and really exciting. The downside is that the physical gold cartridge, you can't play it. So if you have an old Nintendo, it's not going to have a game in there to play. I feel like that's kind of weak, but hey, it is what it is, right? And here's a picture of the entire edition that you can get here, and you can see what they come with and all that. The gold cartridge does look pretty neat, and I like the art cards because it's art from the original packaging of the old Nintendo games. And the pin set, actually, to be honest with you, reminds me very much of the similar pins that I bought at the Nintendo World Championship back in 1990. Now, my disappointment was when I heard what Japan was getting for their version of the physical copy. And what they're getting sounds a whole lot better than what we're getting. And I'm going to try to bring up a picture here. And I don't know if you can see it on the screen. I'm going to try to make it bigger here. Okay. So what you're getting is not only art cards, but it looks like you're getting replica actual packaging, and you're getting 2 Famicom controllers in the deluxe set. So you're definitely getting a whole lot more here. And you can only, right now, pre-order this on the Japanese Nintendo store, the My Nintendo store in Japan. And I don't think they ship internationally. But people in Japan can get this version of the Nintendo World Championship. And I don't know, in my opinion, this is by far the more superior version. I think it's fantastic. And let me just see. Yeah, you have controllers that come with this set. And the controllers look like they will work with your Switch too, which is amazing. But yeah, you can get a lot of stuff in this version. And I think that's really awesome. That's really, really awesome. But both sets are fantastic. I'm really, really excited. Milo is excited for it. You know, so I'm really, really looking forward to this set when it comes out. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to kind of hold your own tournaments with your friends and competitions at parties. That would be really kind of cool to kind of relive the days of the World Championship, because I'll never forget being able to experience that. One of the funny things too is that they had a guy in a Mario costume kind of walking around the convention, and I remember one of my friends kept like bullying him, tugging on his ear and all that. And there was this one time he did that, and Mario turned to him and was like, "No, no, no, don't do that." Yeah, he was a little bit of a brat, but I thought that was really, really funny. So yeah, so I'm super excited for that. It's a nice little trip down memory lane when I saw that happen. Blah 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 blah. Anyone here planning on watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, or have seen it already? If so, and if you've been a fan of this series so far, you should be happy to know that they are planning to do 9 films in total for this series. 9 times. Milo, Japan just has so much more cool video game stuff. Yeah, they usually do. Yeah. But what's, at the very least, what's been cool, at least for some things recently, is that some of those cool things that they get there have been finding their ways here outside of Japan. Not everything, but some things. So at least they're becoming more open in allowing that to happen. But yeah, for the most part, the coolest stuff will always be in Japan. And you'll always get it there. But for Apes Kingdom and the series as a whole, 9 films. 9 films. Back here in Dark Horizons. The original Planet of the Apes franchise ran for 5 movies before fizzling out. This is the original, like, way back in the day, the Charlton Heston version. But the writers of this week's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes have far larger plans than that. Married scribes Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver have been working with films since the 1992 thriller The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Oh my God, you remember that movie? Oh, I actually like that movie. That was Rebecca De Mornay, I think, in that movie, right? The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, where she played that babysitter. The Hand, let's look it up. That Rocks the Cradle. Yeah, Rebecca De Mornay is in that movie. Oh my God, that was such a fun movie. That's like a perfect 90s movie, 90s thriller movie. That's so funny. OG, calling it a day. Peace out, man. I'll catch you next time. Maybe catch you in Helldiver sometime this weekend. But the Scribe, they followed that up with a number of films, including 1997's adaptation of Preston's child novel, The Relic. They really broke through in 2011 when they wrote Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which successfully revived the flagging franchise. They subsequently worked on Matt Reeves' even more acclaimed follow-ups Dawn and War, along with writing work on the first Jurassic World movie and the second and third Avatar films. Now they return as producers of Kingdom, and speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, they were asked how far out are they plotting these movies and how many more can we expect. According to Jaffa, with Kingdom, we really feel like we've set the foundation for at least 2 more movies with these characters, but we'll see. A lot of it depends on the audience's reaction. Silver, when you first came up with this idea, the Apes franchise way back, you saw 9 movies. We thought this is crazy ambitious, but here we are. We're at 4. Jaffa said, I saw 9. Don't know if we'll make it to 9. I would love it. We've spoken to not just Wes and Josh and Joe, but to Steve and Scott at 20th Century about what the next movies can be. And of course, as with anything, it all depends on how much money it makes. Well, right now, it looks like they're going to make $50 million, over $50 million for this new movie, which is a pretty good start for the weekend. And I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very well done, very well written. I love the story. I love the character development in it. What I said in my review was that one of my major concerns was how are we going to feel about these new characters in a post-Caesar storyline. Caesar's not involved anymore. And they found a way. And I enjoyed it. I feel very invested in these new characters that we were introduced to. And I definitely want to see more of it afterwards. So hopefully everyone else will feel the same when they watch it over the weekend or the upcoming week or 2. All right. Let's end this stream talking about the latest episode of X-Men 97. Episode 9. Episode 9 is a part 2 of 3 within these final episodes of the season. And it definitely picks up where things left off in the last episode. Professor X is back, right? From his little rendezvous with the Shi'ar Empress. So he's back. The one thing that really, really kind of, I guess, I found a little disappointing, but it also kind of made sense too, was that we didn't really see much of a reaction from the rest of the X-Men with him coming back. He had a moment with Scott and Jean Grey, kind of like a father-son moment, where he was complaining about like why Scott is still bitching about why Professor X decided to leave things with Magneto. And, you know, Professor X said that he was basically... Oh, spoilers, by the way. In case anyone doesn't want to be spoiled about the episode, I should probably hint at that first. But yeah, we're talking about X-Men 97, Episode 9, and there will be spoilers abound. So, you know, big warning for everyone who hasn't seen it yet. But this is a recap and review of this episode. So yeah, you know, Scott is still, you know, bitching about that. He still doesn't understand the thought behind it. And, you know, Professor X was trying to explain to him that, look, I did that for you guys. You know, you've been with me ever since you were teenagers. I want you guys to have a life. I want you guys to have a family. I don't want you guys to be burdened with running the school and running the team and all that, which makes a lot of sense. But of course, I don't know, it's a questionable move as to whether or not he was supposed to have left it with Magneto or whatever the case is. But that's all we got. We didn't get to see any of the other reactions from the rest of the team when it comes to Professor X being back. The only reaction we got out of anyone was when Storm came back. Storm came back and you saw Jubilee make a beeline to Storm's like, Storm, my God, Aurora, you're back. And, you know, Jean Grey and Storm, you know, picked her up and, you know, kind of danced with her in the sky, in the air. You know, but we didn't see that type of reaction to Professor X. You know, at the end of the last episode, he crash landed. He's like, I hope I'm not too late. To me, my X-Men. And everyone was just like, okay, I guess we're going to go back now. But we didn't really get to see much of a reaction or whatever kind of feeling we got from anybody else on the team. And then immediately we have them back in the room kind of like, you know, strategizing and formulating what they're supposed to do moving forward. You know, and obviously the big threat right now is Magneto. You know, Magneto is now on a warpath. He is really pissed off. He's upset. You know, he did this giant EMP blast from his body that pretty wiped out a lot of technology across the world. You know, so we have him as a major threat. We have Bastion that's now crying over his dead mom that turned into a hybrid android kind of thingamajig. But he did that to her, right? But now he's like, oh, my mom is gone. Oh, no, mommy. You know, but he did that. You know, of course, you still have Sinister, like, still in the background there, plotting away. But the whole thing was basically just like, all right, whose side are you going to be on here? We are now heading towards a new war. And it's not necessarily mutants against humans. It's a little bit more than that now. It's mutants versus humans versus hybrids, which is the Bastion side of things, right? And the one great thing about this episode, and the one thing that's really worthy talking about, is now the divide that is being presented to the X-Men. And that is, are you going to be on Charles's side or are you going to be on Magneto's side? And this episode, we actually saw characters choose sides. You know, we already know Rogue is upset. Rogue was already upset that Gambit is gone. She was already leaning towards a life of being with Magneto, being the queen of Genosha, and then just seeing the entire place wiped out. So she's angry, and we already saw her act on that anger. Going on a rampage, you know, destroying things, breaking into the army bases, basically dropping off Trask from the roof. You know, not being very X-Men-y. So she made a stance. She decided to go onto Magneto's side. And then, you know, you had freaking Sunspot. You know, the new guy on the team. the Jubilee of this season. You know, him and Jubilee have this thing going on, but because of what he saw from his mom, how his mom basically sold him out. You know, because they're all against mutants and the support of mutants, and he saw that happen. He's very upset about it, so he decides to join Magneto's side. And it's a really funny and corny dialogue between him and Jubilee as he's making that decision. He's like, you know, there's nothing here for me to. Why should I stay on this side? And Jubilee is like, well, you could stay for me. And he's like, nah, F that. Friend zone. He decided to join Magneto's side, right? And now Magneto is once again major threat, but this time he has certain former X-Men team members on his side. So you have Professor X and the rest of the team just trying their best to make an all-out front, strategic front, to not only stop Bastion, but at the same time stop Magneto. Right? So this is one of the cool moments where we kind of see the team split up in their kind of code names, like Gold Team and Blue Team, very much like the comic books, you know, the Jim Lee comic books, which I thought was very exciting. We also got to see them don their old school uniforms, which they didn't really even explain why. I guess because the mansion is all blown up and they don't have access to their newer costumes. The only thing left remaining was the museum quality old school uniforms that they grew up with. So I thought it was really funny how they just kind of put on. You see Jean Grey in her very old school classic Jean Grey outfit. I've always loved the Cyclops one with where his head is covered with the goggles. The very 80s look. I mean, Storm is already rocking her 80s black outfit, so it made sense for the rest of the team to kind of like do the same thing. I thought that was kind of cool. Seeing Wolverine in the brown outfit, you know, brought back so many memories from back in the day. That was always my favorite costume of Wolverine, the brown. So it was just kind of nice to see them all don their old school uniforms. But yeah, full-on strategic attack to try to just stop Bastion and Magneto from causing more damage and ruckus across the world, especially towards humans and humanity. You know, you have Beast, they have the collar, right? They're trying to like latch on. And then you have Jean Grey and the team that she's with going against Sinister. And it looks like Sinister has control over Nathan now. So Cable is working on the same side with Sinister. And you have Jean Grey and her, not really this Jean Grey son, but the son, going against each other, right? She's calling out to Scott, Scott, I love you. You know, but things aren't working as planned. And we get to a moment where you see Professor X finally getting a control over Magneto. You know, Wolverine helped get the helmet off, and now, you know, Professor X is like, I have to stop you, Magnus, before you create more problems. And it looks like, I don't know, to me it looked like, in a way, Charles was about to lobotomize Magneto. That's what it kind of looked like to me. And then out of nowhere, Cyclops stops him. Because he needs to buy the rest of the team more time before this happens. Which was, I don't know if it was a good choice or not. But he did it. He made the choice. And that allowed Magneto to get even more angry and cause more damage. And we have Professor X on the floor and all that. But then Wolverine decided to take it upon himself. He's like, you know what, bub? F you. I'm so tired of this already. And you just see Shank from behind. Oh, snap! Magneto got shanked. Prison style, son. Wolverine stabbed him through the back. And, you know, Wolverine was just basically, Logan's like, this has to finally end. And Magneto, with this amazing line that he had. It's like, finally, after all these years, we could finally put an end to this all. And we already know Wolverine skeleton's made out of adamantium. It's a metal. Magneto can control metal. And what does he do? We've seen this in the comics. He basically rips out all the metal from Wolverine's body. I never thought I would see that in animated form. Never. And we got it. And I verbally and audibly screamed out loud as I was watching this here. I was like, oh my God, what? And you just see, it's like a still image of Wolverine, just basically like, ah, and you just see like all of the stuff ripped out of him. All the metal. And then they cut to black, and that was the end of it. And honestly, like, those are the main highlights of this episode. There's really not much going on here, because again, this is a part 2 of a 3-part arc here. All the big things are going to happen in this next and last episode of the season. But, you know, the first part we got was a little bit of a build-up. This was a little bit more build-up, but then a more of, these are the stakes. And now we have some consequences. I guess, in a way, if you were to kind of compare it to Star Wars, this was like the Empire Strikes Back episode. It ends on such a bad, sour note. Where you have the team split into 3, and everyone's struggling. They can't seem to get a grasp on Bastion. Jean is fighting off Sinister and Nathan, aka Cable. And now you have Professor X, Scott, and Wolverine. Wolverine, I don't know what's going to happen with Wolverine now. But they're all battling Magneto. A Magneto with Sunspot and Rogue on his side. What will happen next week on X-Men 97? And it's exciting, man. These episodes have been killer. But I never thought I would ever see, in animated form, the ripping out of the metal from Wolverine's body. That was just shocking. Really shocking. I was always curious, especially since we've already gotten X-Men movies. I was always curious if we were ever going to see that in live action form. Right? We never got there. Never really. You know, I don't know if we'll ever see that under the MCU when they finally bring the X-Men into the fold. I don't know if we're ever going to see that. But the fact that we saw that here, woo, mind-blowing, mind-blowing. But it's exciting. And I don't know what's going to happen in this next episode. And it's cool, but it also sucks because, you know, the episodes have been quick 30-minute episodes, easy to watch. They throw in a lot at you. They throw a lot at you in the 30 minutes. Sometimes it's kind of hard to keep track and keep pace of everything. But knowing that this is the last episode that we're getting next week, there's a part of me that wishes it was like a double episode, like an hour long. Because I feel like there's a lot of stuff they can kind of tie out and kind of put a cap on and give us more story, more of what to look forward to for season 2, which we know we're getting. But right now, I mean, it is, wow, amazing. It's just a fun watch overall. It really is just a fun watch overall. It's been so entertaining, and it'll be sad to see it end next week. But from what we got some good content, and this was a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, that's the end of spoilers there. No more spoiler talk for X-Men 97. But yeah, I would love to hear what you all think about the season, the episode. What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping they're going to tie out? You know, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. All right, y'all. I feel like I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. maybe it's not such a good idea to have the mic so far away, because I feel like I am being forced to talk up more instead of having the mic right in front of me and to talk like a little bit normally. So I may have to change that around. Just trying something different. Trying something different. But I'm going to head on out for now. Thank you so much for everyone who showed up in support. R.I.P. my boy Oz Green. Don't forget, check him out on Double Toasted Monday nights on their channel. Milo the Cat. Rayleigh. Going back, we had Quandale. We also had Elle. And Jenny. Jenny Sharak, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Dying to hear what movies you end up watching tomorrow. If it's not the Pitch Black series. Chris, as always. And yeah, Bailey. Also, big shout out to Bailey. Thank you all for the amazing support. Milo, you have a great day. Have a great rest of your weekend. I will be back live on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, to recap the weekend box office and to talk about all other random stuff that may have come out during the weekend. So, all that said, I'm out of here for now. Until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.